What's up, Saints and Aints? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Beat. This is where I sit down with artists who are making serious noise in their lanes. And today I am joined by two incredibly talented artists from the 757 who have been putting in work both not just solo, but now as a duo. Welcome to Behind the Beat, Grunge, Gallardo, and Ambassador Rick, also known as the Spookz.
Yeah. Wow. We finally here.
Yes. Thank y'all for coming on. This is long overdue. For those who aren't familiar, just tell us a little bit about each of y'all selves, the Spookz, and how did you all come together?
Been out here in 757 a long time, putting down music. We've been rocking a long time. We came together, actually, a lot of people know us from a three-man, the opioid era, you know what I'm saying? So that's how we initially formed a union as far as like consistently creating music together. I mean, we've made music together since 2010s probably, but we came together, as the opioid, and we had a nice run with that. And we didn't really feel like we was done, you know what I'm saying, creating. As far as a unit, there was more to be tapped into, and we decided to, put this together, the Spookz who sat by the speaker, you know what I mean? So.
All right, so I wanted to talk about that too, the name. How did you all come up with the name, the Spookz who sat by the speaker? What does that mean?
It's a play on the Spook who sat by the door, which if anybody's familiar with that film or the book, it's about a guy who kind of, he went in and got all the tricks of the trade and then came back, to infiltrate and use what he learned, in his community to, go to war with the system and everything like that. So we kind of just took a spin on it, the Spookz who sat by the speaker. For one, because it kind of was the same concept. Like when we were the opioid era, there was a lot of attention given due to the direction of the music. They kind of fell in line because we were talking about the epidemic, and it kind of just, it brought a lot of eyes to it, but now we kind of like flipped it a little bit. So it's like, y'all might have came in on that, but we took a lot of the attention that came that way and we spinning it a little bit. So, the Spookz who sat by the speaker, we came up listening to all the classic material that was needed to really like hone our skills, hone our talents, and create the vibes that are just missing in today's climate. You know what I'm saying?
So how do you all want this version of what you're doing to stand apart from your previous work?
It's just more intentional. A lot of the stuff we did under our previous work as a collective, it could be categorized different because the text is real dark, real hard, real dark subject matter. So it automatically put us in a certain, bracket. But this is a little more free, man. It's more our traditional upbringings of hip hop, where it wasn't really necessary in a box. It was just dope, just dope shit in general. And that's, what we trying to do.
There was really no limitations, like, on the subject matter, the content. Like we kind of could just, whatever we were feeling at the time, it fit. We didn't have, it wasn't like trying to force a square peg into a round circle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, we could just do hip hop. It doesn't got to be centered around a specific theme. It can become a little mundane, you know what I'm saying? You get to telling your stories over and over.
I get you to always have some kind of versatility to what it is that you're doing. And it is easy to get like stuck in I think for artists to end up getting like stuck in a subject matter. So it's good to every now and again, like rotate what you're doing for like a fresh perspective and a fresh sound. Now, what was like the catalyst or the moment that made you all say, we're gonna keep this going?
There really was no catalyst that like drove it. It was one of those situations where we had a convo like individually. Me and Ambassador Rick never were on records together outside of the trio. Even before we were a trio, we made records together as the trio. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So it was one of those situations where it was like anytime we've collaborated, it was always amongst the three of us. You know what I'm saying? So we've never really done nothing just us to even know what it would sound like. And it was just we weren't done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like sonically hearing his voice on records with me, and I would assume the same thing was like, yo, I ain't really done feeling that vibe yet.
And it was much more that we wanted to touch on that didn't necessarily fit the scope of what we was doing as a trio. So it was like this is the perfect opportunity because these are all things that we both want to, kind of touch on. So let's do it in this space. And it's like a void in hip hop currently. We had a resurgence of what's considered like new age, boom bap, underground, whatever, right? So within that category, from our observation or just, just looking as a fan, you'll start to see everybody kind of go in one direction. And I know it has like a nostalgic attachment to like, 90s hip hop or whatever, however people like to categorize it. But from what I remember as a fan coming up and as a kid in the 80s and as a, teenager in the 90s, hip hop was real diverse, you know what I'm saying? And we had a lot of vibes that we really, really loved that we felt like were being neglected. Like people were kind of going in one direction, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, nah, man, it's a lot of other dope feels that we grew up on that we have been influenced and inspired by that we can't suppress just because everybody's on this right now.
Also, there's a thing that happens when you work in a collaboration, you know what I'm saying, or as a partnership or in a group. You kind of got to put your ego to the side when you work in a group or in a partnership. And I enjoy that aspect of the creative process. I'm hard on the music, so you know what I'm saying. Sometimes to be able to just trust somebody else's instinct, you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Trust somebody else's vibe, like and
Yeah.
not talk so much. Just sit back, like, all right, if that's where we want to go, let's try
Mm-hmm.
that. Let's see what
Yeah.
you know what I mean. It
Yeah.
might push me somewhere that I don't normally go. So
Yeah.
for me, just putting the ego to the side of creating in a group setting, in a duo setting, is I live for it.
That's a really interesting perspective too. That's the beauty in working in a group or like working with someone else. It will sometimes you're able to push each other and bounce ideas off of each other. And it's one of those things sometimes where two minds can end up being, greater than one. I also wanted to touch on what Rick was saying about hip hop having a diverse bunch of sounds. I champion that so much. I remind folks that there is no one sound to hip hop. There is and should be variety across the board. So just like how we had Public Enemy, we had a Cool Mo D and a Big Daddy Kane, and we had like Heavy D and like rappers that danced and rappers that made party music and rappers that made conscious music and rappers that harder type of music. I always tell people it's room for all sounds. So
And they weren't all mutually exclusive. You could dance all over that thing. Let the portal open up and let it flow.
and I say hip hop there is no one, to me, there is no one sound. And then when you get into regions, and there's just no one sound for hip hop. And like you say, you just kind of get in where you fit in. So speaking of projects, let's talk about Brand New Beings, because that was y'all's latest mixtape. I love that title. And I know it's a play on Brand New Beings. How did that come to be?
Really, a lot of it just comes from just talking, man. We've always like jumping on classic instrumentals. Like that's just, we come from the era where jumping on somebody else's shit was just, you know what I'm saying? I personally think we resurrected that in the space, because prior to that 3 Times Dope series, I didn't hear a lot of people rapping over music that came out from the past. We are the Spookz that by the speak. So we wanted to kind of like take that energy of rapping over like classic shit, but hone it a little more, as Baz said, intentionally around the era that we talking about, the sounds that we talking about. So Brand New being, they one of the most legendary groups of all time, if not the most legendary 3-man ever. Like, you know what I'm saying? They are a staple in this thing. They had to be the first one that we did. One, because we have a relationship with Lord Jamal. He's been a supporter since the first time he tapped in with us. And we just love the catalog. If we're going to start doing these Spook Tape series, because it's really a series, the Spookz Tape is going to be us venturing over vintage catalogs, specific artists, whether you've seen a Brand Nubian, you may see a De La, you may see a Black Sheep, you may see just different catalogs from history that we just wanted to tap in with and, reinterpret them in our own little Virginia way and make it spin.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, how did the relationship with Lord Jamar, how did that come about? Because he is absolutely a legend. So how did that relationship come about with working with him, and how has it been working with him?
Oh man, that thing just popped up in a DM one day. Like you just woke up one day and checked the DM and Lord Jamar in that joint. Like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm hitting niggas like, yo, Lord Jamar just got down tapped in and reposted some shit. And from there, we just started forging a relationship. Like Rick went and caught him at a show here. We just kept the relationship going. We've been locked in literally since like day one. He's got about, I think it's like 5 joints on this album that he produced. He did like 5 joints on the album. He provided us a verse on the album. We really like value the legend. This is what we came up on. This was our childhood. Just having somebody like that tap in and press play on your shit. When we go to the city, we at the crib. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those.
Love, genuine. Genuine love.
And he's still a dog. Like folks,
Yeah.
there's a lot of talk be going on, but when they hit the album, Jamar getting busy.
Okay, so y'all got a verse too.
He got an album coming, Building 7. We on a couple of those.
Lil Jamar has a crazy album. People don't even understand.
Give a fresh energy to him. You know what I'm saying? Like we still love it and it's visible. Like this shit ain't just like, people ask me all the, you still rap? Like I'm still living, ain't I? Like it don't. They go hand in hand. I can't do one without the other. Like you know what I'm saying? So
that's your art. So what do you want listeners to walk away feeling or thinking like after they hear Brand New Beings?
If you haven't heard any of the Brand New Being records, we gave you a quick little homework to do and took you on a little ride so you can go tap into that catalog. For the people who know about them, hopefully you felt like we did the records justice. I think we did. We got blessings from them. So, it's like full circle, we reviving the game, you know what I'm saying? Like, paying homage to the stuff that, built us and helped, shape and mold us, and passing it on to the people who might not know, because there's a lot of people tapped into those records who was like, oh, yo, I never heard that, as if they didn't know they were Brand Nubian records.
And that's the thing for the series as a whole.
Yeah.
It's really about certain catalogs that people might not necessarily be as familiar with. But when we tap on them the way we tap on them and make them ours of sorts, it still gives you the opportunity to say, hold up, these are such and such records. I gotta go hear this catalog because this beat is crazy. I need to hear what the original was. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just like an ode, man. Like this whole thing, this whole Spookz movement is really just about the culture. You know what I'm saying? And like just like I'm a big soul music guy, right? So like when I say soul, I mean like Charles Bradley, that realm of like listening to the music that feel like you in the 60s or the 70s, right? There's a few labels, Daptone, that are like bringing that sound back, live bands and stuff like that. And you realize that a whole genre of music died off for like a long period of time. Like nobody was creating the feel. Yeah. And I realized that hip hop is like in the same space where like people kind of just, if there's nobody really creating it, it could actually die and disappear and resurrect itself in new form. New players, you might not recognize it at all, but you hear it and it sounds like something you're familiar with, but you don't recognize it. So I just wanted to make sure that we continue to pay it forward for the culture, man.
Let's talk creative process. Now, do you all prefer to build around like one core producer, or do you like pulling from like multiple sounds and blending them together?
Well, we do a little of both, however it comes. Like if we tap in with somebody and they got a whole bunch of work and we liking most of it, it's like, okay, we could do a tape with him. You know what I'm saying? Then we got other times where we might have just been, sporadically catching joints from whoever. And it's like, that's kind of like how this album came about. We was getting joints from Ace, getting joints from Funk. We had joints from Lord Jamar. So we just was in a creative mode, and that's what we had available to us at the time. So we just started building, and they was just coming. It was just coming once we tapped in. But sometimes somebody sent us a folder of mad joints, and it's like, it's a tape in here. So that's how we do that.
This particular album, the self-titled, we kind of kept it in-house. Like you said, we were already locked in with Funk Star. You know what I'm saying? UCat produced one of the brick and mortars, and he produced my solo effort, Before the Winter Come to Fall. So Lord Jamar was already locked in. So we just took those three producers that was kind of like our in-house and like formulated the sound around those textures. I think we built something special.
Yeah. So now I want to ask too, now how involved are you all in shaping the beat once you've picked it? Or do you give notes or add elements, or do you just write to what's there?
We do a little something, but for the most part, we let producers produce, but we are,
Bass has a whole album he produced. That's really why he's, that's why he's letting it be known. He has a whole album that he produced of his own fruition. You know what I mean? So far, we've just allowed the producers to, create sounds, and they just send us packs, man. Really, it's like the portal's open. It's really like we don't really got to force a lot of work. They flow out, like you know what I'm saying.
We tap in, and it just goes.
So when you're building a project like Brand New Beings, so like this new project that's coming, was it the concept first or the songs? Was it built from a concept first, or was it same thing like you said? You looking through beats and it's like, hey, it's a tape in here, versus having a concept on hand.
When you think of the Spookz who sat by the speaker, right? Like that it just creates so much thought. So much comes to you just from that alone. That came through Bass. I think he had the song title first. I'm like, damn, that's a crazy song title. And I think we might have even did the song before we formulated the title of the group and then realized that the whole overall theme of what we were doing was centered around the title, right? So it kind of just, to be honest, like the album, we might have done the whole album in like 60 days, like 2 months, like, you know what I'm saying? Like just locking in every week. And then it took like after we like laid the foundation, it just took, you know, a process of time to really say, look, we need this joint to come together the way it's got to come together. But as far as like our actual work, as far as like, you know, concept,
picking the song, picking the beat, all of that.
It was a quick process, like, you know, it was fairly like very quick.
With your art comes the potential, you know, for criticism, or, you know, any good artist wants some feedback on what it is that they're doing so you can see the direction that you're going in. Do you all have like a soundboard, someone that you trust to give you trust with like early versions to give you feedback? And how do you handle that when it's maybe not the feedback that you were looking for?
That's a good question. We don't actually have that person, like a person per se. We do have people that we let preview stuff early, you know, and we get feedback from, but it's not a specific person at this time.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest, man. My motto is everything ain't for everybody, right? Yeah. When you scour the internet, you know what I'm saying? Whenever something's for everybody, it ain't really that thing anyway. It's not really a good thing if it's for everybody. So I just follow the motto that we just create, man. You know what I'm saying? Like we create. If it's for you, it's gonna resonate.
It's talking about we're not sending it to them to get for them to tell us yay or nay. It's just you just got the privilege of hearing it before everybody.
I'm not even gonna take it from the perspective of you having the privilege. It's more so a matter of like, this is our baby, man. We're entrusting you with this. It's not even out yet. This is a level of trust that we've gifted to you. You know, just treat us right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't gotta like it. You don't gotta love it. You just, you know, don't put my shit on the internet.
That's how I feel too with reviews. If I don't like it, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to put an album on my platform to tear it down. Your music is your expression outward to the world. And it's just something about someone getting on here and saying that your expression, the way that you chose to express yourself, it sucks, or this is bad, or it's terrible. And this is literally just someone's expression. It might just not be for me.
What JLX say? He say up in the wee hours of the dark trying to pin out bars just for y'all to pick them apart. Like it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like everything ain't for everybody. I know that everything ain't for me. There's people that in life that really don't like me simply because of my opinions on music. Like they formed a negative opinion of me because of how I hear and view music. It's just how it affects me. It might affect you different. I've tried to work on being better at just that aspect of things. But once it's in the universe, man, you know, we let people have their opinion on it, and we just
rock out. Put it like this: as long as we love it,
as long as we love it, like we tough. We're tough on ourselves.
We love it, then you know.
The world. How do you balance like experimentation with still keeping like some core elements of your sound?
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you know, I got that from the Black Star album, man. Just keep the main thing the main thing. You know what I'm saying? As long as you keep that in the forefront, you're gonna be all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't experimenting like, you know, what the fuck is this? Like, what do you like? This shit is still hard. This shit is still raw. This shit is still, it's hip hop. The only difference is we ain't necessarily we ain't centered around, you know, a specific theme. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Just be cold blunt with you. Since I was a kid, I never been a crowd follower or like to blend in. Not even that we ever was following, but I never liked to blend in.
That's the Scorpio.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if everybody's doing that, cool. Salute to everybody. We are this. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I feel like what we got is just touching on subjects and in ways that I know as a fan, I would love to hear somebody do. You know, he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, well, we gonna do it then. And as a hip hop fan first, I'm sure it's an audience out there for it, you know.
If it's something that you want to see, just create it yourself and the rest of the world will catch up. So how do you see your sound evolving, going forward?
Just pushing the envelope as far as, we're from Virginia, right? One thing about Virginia, like just sound is always front and center. You go back through our previous catalog, the previous works, every album is sonically different. You know what I'm saying? The style of production, even if every album might be dark, but it's a different type of dark. This guy's dark is heavy strings. You know what I'm saying? This guy's all bass. Like every album is like sonically a different feel. Like even though the content of the album might have been centered around the epidemic, every album just sounded like something else. So that's just something we're gonna always stay true to that. Just as individual artists, I've never really been a fan of listening to an album that sounded like the last album, that sounded like the next album, especially if you're not talking about nothing different. Like if you're not gonna take me elsewhere with the content, you at least gotta like give me a different swing. You know what I'm saying? So that's
some growth. Some kind of progression in between albums. I definitely understand that because your audience will get fatigued. I would say that after a while. So what is next for y'all? I know you have the album, your features with Lord Jamar. Any other new music or upcoming shows where we can catch you all this summer?
We definitely about to come outside. The album is the next move. So, once we bring this album out, we coming outside with it. We're going up top, running through the platforms. We got a couple venues that we locked in with that. I caught a bug the last time I was on the stage, and I feel like a kid again. I done had about 30 concerts over the last year. I got new dance moves. I might pull a WAP out. You never know what you might do.
I know that's right. You have anything to add, Rick, about what's next?
We starting to get into this next album. We've been kind of, toying around with some vibes, and it's already feeling kind of incredible already. When we crafting one joint, it's like, my mind can't even get on nothing else until this one is, you know what I'm saying, so we basically done right now. We doing all of the surrounding stuff as far as,
This project, visuals, stocking up on getting merch ready. One thing about this independent lane, there's a lot of moving parts, right? You know what I mean? And you just gotta like stay on top of it because it could fall down on you. And you look up and you be like, yo, this shit became super overwhelming. One thing we're working on with this is just making sure that all the wheels, the oil, everything is functioning accurately, and that we can just
drop and keep rolling.
Put it on the table and just keep moving, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, we definitely coming outside. We're working on some stuff, you know what I mean? As far as like, just how to make sure that this project is given and presented the way it needs to be presented. That goes back to when you was asking question about the ears that it's been allowed to be placed in front of. So, you know what I'm saying? We just, we just working right now, man. Ours in the blessing era he's blessing right now. So we just receiving all the blessings. The portal open and we rocking.
All right, and let listeners know where they can follow you and stay tapped into your music.
I'm Grunge Gallardo on all platforms, Twitter. I'm rarely on TikTok, but I pop up Instagram. My kids tell me I'm an old head, so I'm still on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Oh goodness, that's all right.
Same with me, man. Same thing, man. Instagram, Ambassador Rick, all spelled together, not two words. Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Facebook, same thing, Ambassador Rick on all platforms.
Well, I want to thank you two both for coming and joining me on this episode and coming to talk to me and sharing information about your new project. That is a wrap on this episode of Behind the Beat. Big love to the both of you again for pulling up and giving us the inside scoop on the Spookz who set by the speaker movement. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, Saints and Aints, love you. Bye.